Okay, guys, we're back. Rattlesnake Bay, Part 4. This is about 2 months after we'd gone out in January, and I'm figuring, you know what? We're putting it in our regular place, Tom A. We're going to go right back to the same spot that we were before and try it out to see if those reds are still there 2 months later. The cold front that was there had just been pushed out by a good, strong southern wind. So that's why it's cloudy. It's warm. It's in the 80s, mid 80s to upper 80s. And the sun doesn't come out. It's just a cloudy day because the wind's blowing really hard out of the south. This is a typical day. The wind's blowing about 25, 30 miles an hour. And we got a good southern wind. So we're going to put back in. We're going to head out. And we're going to shoot down the intercoastal waterway. And we're going to go into the southern end of Rattlesnake Bay and drift right back. Go right back to the same spot that we were in the previous 3 videos that I made. So we're going to try that out and see if the grids are still there and if we have success. So let's take a look at that and see. So here we go. So we're heading out. As you can see, it's my usual time. It's probably around between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. I'm heading out for the minor bite, and I want to set up and get ready because I think the minor bite that day was around 1:30, 2 o'clock, right there somewhere, was when we were going to catch that minor bite. But as you can see, the tide's going to be changing at that time. Look how much water's in the bay. There was a lot of water in the bay that year for some reason. I don't know if it was due to, or it was probably due to a combination of all the rain that we had that year, and due to that most of the time of the year the wind was blowing out of the south. Even in the fall time and into the winter months, we had a lot of southern winds, so I guess it was pushing a lot of water back up into the bay. So it made it a really good year to pretty much go anywhere on the lower Laguna Madre, depending upon, it didn't matter if the tide was high or low. You could pretty much go anywhere you wanted to go in your flat bottom or shallow running boat if you had a flats boat. So we're just looking at the banks there. You see there's a lot of water there. So look how far up the water is on each side of the bank. So it's a cloudy day, like I said. You got to remember the last video, the one with Robert in it, where he caught that 28-inch red. That was back in January. This is in March. This is like 2 months later. I figured, you know what? I'm going to head out and I'm going to go back right over there where we were in the previous 3 videos. And I want to see if I can still catch those reds there. And yeah, we did pretty good. It was pretty interesting. We did catch some redfish. So, in Rattlesnake Bay, in the same area that we were fishing in the previous 3 videos. I'm anticipating that, you know, we're going to be on it, and that we're locked and loaded. We know exactly what the plan is, where we're going. The only thing that's going to be a little bit different here is that it's interesting. Well, you'll see it as it comes up, as we come up to the channel. The barges are parked in their normal places like you always see, but they're dredging. They're dredging the mouth of the arroyo. They got the dredge equipment out there, so that's something you just don't usually see every day out there, as an actually dredge and working in the area, because they got to keep those lanes open for the barges to go through. You know, what I've read and what I've heard that the arroyo is only like, I don't know, 15 feet deep in the middle of it. I find that kind of hard to believe, but that's what they say. It's just deep enough so those barges can get through, in and out in there. But the currents are really strong though, so that'd be interesting to see. So this is something that's interesting to see, to watch what they're doing when we get up there. But as you can see, it's a cloudy day. It's a warm day. Not too many birds flying. There's a few here and there. As we get closer to that dredger, you're going to see more birds, because That dredger sucking up all that soot and sediment and stuff is stirring up the bait fish, and of course the birds are going to be feeding around that. But it's just a typical day. So I mean, if you ever come out to fish the Lower Laguna Madre, this is a perfect example of a typical day out on the Lower Laguna Madre. It's usually windy. The wind's usually blowing out of the south, and that's just something you're going to have to deal with when you come. Look how high the water is past those little mangrove outcroppings. It's see, a lot of water. So here we go. We got some barges lined out there that are waiting to either go into the Port of Harlingen or waiting to go up the northern lane of the Intercoastal Waterway, and they're waiting for another barge to pass. So they sit and check, waiting for that to happen. Another barge. But past that, you're going to see the dredging barge is going to be past this. That's going to be the ones coming up here after we get through here. But as I can say, last time we were out, it was in January. It was a cold day. We did okay. I mean, we did good. We caught reds. Robert won the day with the big red that he caught. I think I caught a couple of, I want to say either 23 or 24, and then 21 or something like that, right in that range somewhere. And then of course some small rat reds. This is going to be basically a repeat. I'm going to catch some nice reds. I think I catch a 24, 23, 24. I catch a 28, and I want to say I catch a 21, 22, and then we start catching rat reds. So there's a dredger. There's part of the crane that lifts the dredger up. That's part of the dredging equipment. The actual dredger is going to be closer to the mouth up here coming up. You're going to see that as we get closer to it. And I'm kind of confused because you see the markers where the dredge pipe is there. Like there's some dredge pipe coming up right here on the port side of the boat. So I'm kind of confused exactly where all the pipe is, because you see it here also on the starboard side all along the bank there. I'm trying to navigate through there because I don't want to run over the pipe and ruin the lower end unit of my motor. You can see, look at all that dredging equipment that they have there. So they have it marked in some spots, but in most of the spots the pipe's not marked. So I'm trying to navigate through there to get in there, so I can make it through without having any incidents. But still, beautiful morning. Look at that. Cloudy, but beautiful. The cloud formation is beautiful there when you see that. Doesn't always have to be a sunny day to go catch fish. You know. So, here we go. So now we're coming up to the mouth. It's dead ahead. Bird Island's dead ahead of the bow. There's some more dredging equipment there on the port side of the boat. You see there the pipes there with the floats on them. The actual dredger is right up there. It's that big thing off of the starboard side of the boat. See, birds are there now because the dredging is churning up the water. The bait fish are moving, and the birds are taking the opportunity to capitalize on that and get them a quick meal. I don't know if you'd call it like a scouting little tug there. So I'm going to turn because I'm not sure where they're at with that pipe. I'm going to hang all the way to the right, or the starboard side of the Arroyo. The dredger is off to the port side there in the distance. That's the dredger. It's actually operating right now and dredging. I slow down here because I'm not too sure where their pipe is and where it crosses and what they're doing. So I want to slow down just in case. I don't want to be running across here too fast and I hit it. So I just want to make sure I'm clear and free of their pipe, because it wasn't clearly marked for me. I was looking for it, and I've noticed it was on both sides. So they may not have been using the pipe on that side just yet, but they already had it in the water. They're dredging off of the north side of the channel right there, and they're shooting all the mud up onto the bank on the north side of the bank of the Arroyo. And I'm not sure. See, they got a little marker right there that there's pipe there on the starboard side. So that's why I'm going slow, making sure we're okay, and I don't run up over it. Once I know I'm in the clear, we'll get back up and running. So see, I slowed down to an idle and I just idled through there. And now that I know that I'm free and clear of the pipe, we're going to get back to it. And like I said, we're heading out to Rattlesnake Bay. This is going to be the 4th trip in a row, 4 consecutive times right in a row. This will be the 4th one that I've gone directly to Rattlesnake Bay right off the bat to chase the reds and the mudflats out there in Rattlesnake Bay. And I'm going right back to the exact same spot that I was on December 17th, December 25th, and on January 13th. And this, I want to say, is around March 13th is what this is. Basically 2 months later. And since we have that good wind that pushed that northern out of the valley, I wanted to come out and hit it. I'm thinking, hey, the reds are going to be running and be moving because of this southern wind. And they were. We did well. We were on the reds. So we're going to shoot right down the Intercoastal Waterway all the way to the southern tip of the Rattlesnake Bay. And we're going to enter in between the spoil banks and stop right next to that sandbar. And we're going to drift from the southern end to the northern end of Rattlesnake Bay. As you can see, the spoil banks are right there on the starboard side of the boat. On the port side of the boat, that's the grass flats that are east of Rattlesnake Bay and south of Bird Island. It's one of my favorite places too. We'll be covering some videos there where I'm out there in those grass flats. I love fishing the grass flats there. The clear water open grass flats of the lower Laguna Madre. But today we're looking at Rattlesnake Bay again, part 4. And this place has been producing for 30 some odd years. I've been going out there for over 30 years. And it's always been producing. You just have to work that bay. There's a lot of areas in that bay, and you have to work it and find out where they're at, and then you're on them. And then you just, go back and you circle back, and it's just, repetition is what it is when you're drift fishing. I'm a drift fishing kind of guy. I used to wade back in the day for years. That's all I did because I didn't have a boat, so I was a wader. And, now that I have a boat, I just like drift fishing instead of wading. But maybe in the future, I might do a few wading videos too. Do some wade fishing videos. But I just love to drift fish. I love to hang the sock out and just drift through the areas. And as you can see, just like I did before, I'm not going in the area that I'm going to fish. I'm outside of that zone because I don't want to stir up anything that's there. I want to be able to drift through nice and clean and not disturb anything until I come across in my actual drift. But we have the spoil drops right off to the right of the boat, and I'm shooting down towards 3 Islands. And right before I get to 3 Islands, I'm going to turn in between the spoil drops into the southernmost part of Rattlesnake Bay. And we're going to start our drift right there. And as you're going to see, right off the bat, we're on the reds. Cassie puts us on the reds. She is red hot. I think I catch a 23-24 right off the bat after we get set up. But look at that beautiful morning. Cloudy morning, but it's beautiful. Look at the cloud formations. Beautiful. Another day of high anticipation of being on the reds. Pretty quick, and we were. We didn't spend that much time out there. We only spent a couple hours, and that was it. If even that. Hour and a half on the water. And caught my limit on reds, and we came back to the house. And the reason why I hadn't been out in a couple of months was because I was already starting to have issues with the motor on my boat. So this is when all my issues started with the crank no start and other things, which you're gonna see in the next video. That's when it really breaks down. Look at that. You see that porpoise right there? Big old porpoise feeding. So porpoises are out feeding, so that tells you that the fish are moving, the bait's moving. But you know what I don't really see? I don't really see a lot of bird action out here at all. Hardly any birds. There were more in the channel where they were dredging. That's where they were hanging out at. But actually out here in the intercoastal waterway, I don't really see any. So I'm starting to make my turn. I'm looking for my spot where I'm going to cut across and cut in between those spoiled drop islands, spoil dumps, spoil banks there. And I'm going to do like I did in the previous 3 videos. I'm going to cut between them, and then I'm going to veer to the south and go right up next to the sandbar that's there, and I'm going to stop the boat. And I'm going to start drift fishing. So here we go. We're making the cut. Heading in. And then we're going to veer a little bit to the left. And once I spot the sandbar, I get close to it, I'm going to shut it down. And we're going to start fishing. So here we go. In between the 2 spoil drops, the spoil dump islands. And then you're going to see I'm going to veer to the left, to the port side. And I'm going to come right up next to, there's 2 big sandbars right there. And I'm going to go right up next to them. They're not as noticeable in this video for some reason, because I guess there was a lot of water in the bay. But you see how that water looks real shallow? You see how the difference in the texture in the water? That's the sandbar. It's right there. You can even see it when the water is even deeper. So I'm going to get up close to that, and then I'm just going to shut it down. You see how the water breaks a little bit different there? That's letting you know there's something right underneath the water. Whenever you see that you see that the water's breaking, or it has a different texture than the water that you're in, you need to pay attention, because you're going to be running into real shallow water real quick. And we'll shut it down. We're going to break out the drift sock. And like I've said in the previous videos, once I go back out again, I'm going to probably double down, possibly triple down on drift socks. So it slows me down, because what I've noticed in a lot of these videos, since reviewing them and doing this commentary, that I've been drifting way too fast. I need to slow the boat down so that we can cover the area better, and we would have even more success. The slower you drift, the more of the area you can cover, and the more chances are to catching more redfish. Because, you know, once you start up the boat and you loop back around to come back around and do another pass to catch it, you're going to scare up anything that's there. So you're kind of in that catch-22. You know, I try not to, unless I have to. But then when I do that, what I will do is I will go out and go past and then go further down from where I was, and then drift back through. You know, in other words, I'd move my position, because I already know that I'm going to scare them up as soon as I fire up that boat and I run across that water. The reds are going to pick up and move. So if you can avoid it, you always want to avoid it at all costs. You know, and not run through where you're going to fish. Keep it pristine, and you'll see the fish they'll be there. And as you can see right here, look, once we set up and get going, right off the bat, 23, 24-inch red right here. Look at this. Here we go. Cassie on her game. Just popping the cork. I got my Inshore Extreme rod from Bass Pro, 8.5 foot from Bass Pro. with my Slammer 260 pin reel on there, using 14-pound monofilament line. Suffix line is what I got on there, with my Back Bay Thunder and a number 4 treble hook with 40-pound shock leader. Popping live shrimp. And I don't have to wait long, as you're going to see right here. Nice redfish. Takes it and hits it. So I'm reeling in my slack. I pop it, reel in the slack, and watch. He's going to start to take it here. You're going to see. I'm going to start reeling in fast because he's moving it. And then once I get all the slack out of the line, I set the hook. Alright, you see how I'm reeling fast there? Because something's messing with it. And then I want to watch it again. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, see how I'm reeling fast? And I'm going to set the hook here. Watch. See how fast I'm reeling? And then boom. Once the line's tight, I set the hook. Because if you got a lot of slack in your line, you're going to miss the strike. So you always want to keep it tight. And right here, you keep the pole up. Keep the line tight. That way you keep the head of the fish up. And yeah, I'm going to control him. Look how fast he's going to run. And he's going to try to get under the boat. Look at this. He came in pretty quick. Trying to run right straight under the boat. And look how I hold him up and I keep him from going underneath the boat. Yeah, see? Look how he's trying to get under the boat. Trying to run right underneath the boat there. And no, I'm like, no, you're not going to do that on me. And I keep that pole up. Keep him from doing that. That's a beautiful redfish right here. Nice one. Look at that big old red. Nice. That's what it's all about. So watch when I get him up to the camera. I'll get him off, get him measured, and then I'll put him up at the camera so you guys can see him. Nice red. Let me secure the hook and get the pole out of the way so you don't hook yourself. Always secure the hook so you don't hook yourself and get it out of your way. Got you barking up a storm. So bark that one right up. And if I remember right, it's like 23, 24. Nice red. Nice middle slot red. Just like how you like them. Letting Cassie give him a lick. Telling her she did a good job. Let's take a look at this guy. Yeah. Beautiful redfish. Got split in his tail though. For some reason, I don't know why he must have hit something with it. Or something nipped at him. Look at that split he's got. Beautiful redfish. Nothing like it. Chasing reds in the mud flats in Rattlesnake Bay on the lower Laguna Madre. All right. Redfish number 2 coming up. Here we go. So you see how I just pop it, reel the slack, pop it, reel the slack, pop it. And watch this. So now I'm looking at it. I'm seeing something's moving around out there. Pop it one more time, and there he goes. Boom, he hits it. This one's 28-inch redfish right here. Nice big red. This one, for some reason, I got pretty good control of him. Look how he tries to go into the boat. Look at that. No, I said, no, you're not going to do that, buddy. He doesn't go around the boat like the other big reds had done in the previous videos. 28 inches, 27 inches, 26 inches. I keep this one right in front of the boat. I have pretty good control on this one. You know? But he tries. Look, he tried like 2 or 3 times to go underneath the bow of the boat there. Get away from me. He's fighting, boy. As he barked up a nice one there. Yeah, big old red. So I'd fixed the fray part in my net. It's still the same net that I have there. So I cut out anything uh, that was weathered, and then I just stitched it up, and I'm reusing it. So, and you know something that's interesting here on this one. I don't know why I did this. I just noticed that when I caught this redfish, I take a picture with my phone with him instead of bringing him up to the camera on the back of the boat like I normally do. Um, I don't know. It was just something that was, I don't know why I did that, to tell you the truth. But there we are. We're in the mud flats in Rattlesnake Bay. And we just hooked and netted a 28-inch redfish. See, I'm fishing my oil slicks are there. Get the hook out of him. Get the pole stowed away. And then we'll pull him out. So I'll get the pole out of the way. But like I said, for some reason here, I I don't bring him to the back of the camera. I use my cell phone after I measure him out, and I clip my cell phone on that stand that I have there on my light bar, and I take pictures of him that way. So let's take a look at it. So we're measuring him out. I'm going to take a look, and he measures out to 28 inches. So like I had said before, I'd missed the major bite that morning, which was right around dawn, early in the morning, between 5 and 6. And so that day, I went out for the minor bite. And when the tides were changing and the minor bite was going to hit. And as you can see, we did well. We were on the reds. And like I say, here, for some reason, I do something different. I don't bring him to the back of the boat and put him in front of the camera. I put my cell phone on the stand there, and I take pictures on the cell phone with him. is what I do. So I'm not sure why I did that, but I did. Because you can see how it blinked out, the camera did, because the battery had died. So I replaced the battery, turned it back on, and then instead I just I put him up in front of this, in front of the camera on the phone, is what I do. Yeah, beautiful red, look at that. It's the way you like it. Big, beautiful redfish. And I put my camera on my phone on a 10-second delay so I could get the picture, and I took a couple of pictures of him like that, and then we let him go. And you know, I was looking for the footage because you see I got a GoPro on top of my head too, so I was looking for the footage on that, and I couldn't find that anywhere. I don't know what I've done with the footage off of that GoPro 6 when I caught this fish. But you see how I'm right in the middle of those oil slicks? You see those little white dots in the water? I'm right in line fishing my oil slicks like I always do, where bait fish have traveled through. And we're out in the mud flats. The video that I posted before this, the short one that was Drift Fishing the Lower Laguna Madre Part 9, that drone footage came from this video here, which we'll see here at the end, and I'll comment on it. You'll see I'm out in the middle of a big mud flat. There's hardly any grass anywhere in that area of that part of Rattlesnake Bay. It's just mud. How can I say it? It's just a big area of mud. And there's little patches of grass here and there. And I was fishing those patches of grass as I was drifting across them. So as they would come up, I'd be casting, because you could see the dark spot in the water. I'd be casting in and around those grass patches. And that's how I was catching these redfish out there in that flat. It's not like a normal grass flat where there's grass everywhere. Here, it's mainly just a mud bottom, nothing on it, and there's a splotch of grass here and a splotch of grass there, and that's it. And it's just in a wide open plain, which we'll talk more about it once we come up to it. So see, and I take another picture sitting here with him, and then I let him go. Cassie give him a lick, and we're gonna let this guy go. Beautiful. And this one here, I want to say, is a 21, 22-inch red. So in the middle of catching this redfish, I didn't know the camera had died again, because the camera overheats, and a lot with these GoPros. I have a GoPro 12 now that I use, and I haven't had that issue yet, but it always happens. It happened on my GoPro 11, my GoPro 10, my GoPro 6. I still have those 3 cameras too, and I still use them from time to time, but they overheat. And at the time that was a GoPro 10 that I was using, and it'll overheat out there. And it's got to cool down before it operates again. So I didn't know that it had gone out, and I'd cooked the fish until I was walking to the backside of the boat trying to reel it in. I saw that the camera was off, and I had to push the button to turn it back on again. And that's why you only see the last end of the part of me bringing him right up to the boat and getting him into the boat. That's a nice little red too. So all in all, another good day out on the Lower Laguna Madre. Windy day, average day, wind blowing 30 miles an hour on average. See my shirt moving in the wind? It's blowing pretty good. Moving us along pretty good. The boat's rocking. And you got to remember, the water that I'm fishing in is only about 18 inches. And look how much the boat's rocking in that 18 inches of water. You would think I was in deeper water than what I actually am. So that ought to show you the wind's really blowing. It stayed cloudy the whole time I was out there. The sun never peeked through the clouds and cleared up. So like I say, you can catch them on clear days and you can catch them on cloudy days. You can catch them on windy days and you can catch them on non-windy days. The key is the timing. Getting out there on the water at the right time when the fish are moving and feeding. Yeah. Nice. So I think it was like a 22, I believe. 22-inch red. So far we caught a 24, 23, 24, 28, and that was 21, 22. All in the slot. Lower slot, middle slot, upper slot. Can't get any better than that. That's a perfect day of fishing for redfish because you caught all three ranges. And now we're going to catch them under slot. I just threw this in here. I caught more. So now we're at the southernmost end of Rattlesnake Bay. If you saw over there, you saw that the Sarah T, that yacht that's always sitting out there, that's tied down out there. I had one guy in the comments tell me about it, that he was asking about that boat, that it was stranded out there. It wasn't stranded out there. They drug it out there and they tied it down because it's a floating cabin. I'm always on Facebook Marketplace looking for stuff, and they have it up on Facebook Marketplace. They'll pay somebody $1,000 to go out there and drag it off and haul it out of there because they want to move their permit somewhere else. I think they live up in I don't know, somewhere north of Corpus Christi. Is, you know, either it's in Port O'Connor or Port Aransas or one of those places. You know, Rockport, one of those places is where they're really out of. But they'll give you $1,000 to go grab it and haul it off out of there. It's free. They got a title and everything on that boat. It doesn't have any engines in it. It's a 30-foot Beltran. I want to say probably late 70s, early 80s model. But they can't leave it out there if they're going to move their permit. They need it gone. So it's been a fixture out there in Rattlesnake Bay for a few years now. So here pretty soon it's not going to be out there anymore. So anything that you see in my videos of the pictures of it, that's going to be it, because it's going to be gone here pretty soon. Either they're going to find somebody that's going to take it off their hands, or they're going to remove it. And there he is. He's gone. And that's it. So that's what we caught. We caught a bunch of little rat reds. So I just threw one of those in the video. And we're going to be heading back in. So we hit our limit. And we're heading back. Rattlesnake Bay, guys. And generally in this area right here, like you see where I'm at, that's usually a green color. So that shows you how much that the wind was blowing and the water was churned up with all the mud in it and sand in it, that it turned it to like a murky brown. But usually it's a really beautiful, vibrant green there. But on super windy days, it turns it up, and it gives you that mud look like you see in the Arroyo when you're in the Arroyo, because it's all churned up. So we're going to head back in. We're at the northernmost tip now. Right there, we're right next to the Arroyo. We're going to head right out and go right back around and go back into the Arroyo. So what we're going to show here now are some pictures of that trip, and then I'm going to show some drone footage, and we'll talk about the drone footage before we cut it off here. So let's take a look here, and you'll be able to see in these pictures, you can see it's a mud flat. There's hardly any grass there at all. So let's take a look at this picture and take a look. So look at that. You see how there's hardly any grass? There's just little patches here and there. It's just open mud. And here we are. This is Hobnail Island, Rattlesnake Bay. Another picture of Hobnail Island. Distance from Hobnail Island. And then the catches that we caught that day. Big one, the biggest one, the 28-inch one. And now let's look at this drone footage and then the little rat red. All right, so you can get a good picture here. Let's see what type of terrain we're fishing in. And as you can see, it's just mud. There's a little patch of grass there, a little patch of grass over here, a little bit of patch of grass back there. So all I do is when I drift through there, I'm hitting these areas of grass is what I'm doing. I'm casting around those grass pots, and that's how I'm catching these redfish out there in this part of Rattlesnake Bay. Because like I'm telling you, they hide in those grassy little outcrops and little grassy knolls there, and they wait for bait fish to come by, and they ambush them, and they jump out and they get them. They use that as cover, as camouflage. And every now and then you'll get lucky enough, you'll be drifting out there in that mud flat, and you'll drift right across them when they're swimming, and they're schooling around and they're moving, and you can catch them that way too. You don't even have to fish the grass spots. But most of the time, that's what I do. I cast into those little grass spots that you see there, and that's how I catch these fish. And usually it's just live shrimp popping the cork using that Back Bay Thunder. And it produces really well. This is the 4th consecutive time that I've gone out right to that spot 4 times in a row over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 months, 4.5 months, and I've caught reds every time there. Starting from December 17th of the previous year up to March 13th of that year, whatever year this was. I think this was about 3 years ago. So we're in 2025. So 3 years back. And the water is generally clearer. You would see more if the sun was out. The sun makes a big difference. Like with this drone footage, it looks kind of hazy in the water. But if the sun was out, you would really see the clarity there. And you would see it's just a straight mud floor is all that it is. It's just mud. It's not sand, it's mud. And the reds, like I'm telling you, they're all over the lower Laguna Madre. You can catch redfish anywhere. You can catch them in the sand flats. You can catch them in the grass flats. You can catch them in the mud flats. You can catch them in the channel. I'm telling you, they're everywhere. That's the beauty about redfish fishing. They're everywhere. You just have to know how to work the area and to capitalize on it. Because I'm telling you, we really have a good, strong, lively redfish population on the lower Laguna Madre. The reds have thrived down here. I wish the trout would come back that way, you know, and have that. Hopefully one of these days we can get it there. And it'll be just as strong as the redfish population is. And you see how I was catching that little rat red at the end? I caught more than one. I caught a bunch of them that day. I just put one in the video. But that right there, you should never be dismayed, because when you're catching rat reds and a lot of them like that, that just shows you how strong the population is, that you have a whole nother generation. In a couple of years, that fish is going to be in the 21, 22, 23 inch range. And 4 years to 5 years, it's going to be in the big upper slot range. So it gives you great hope. And here we are, just Rattlesnake Bay on the lower Laguna Madre. One of my favorite places. It's giving you a pan out spread of the area so you can see it. And then we'll fly the drone over Hobnail Island, show you that. And on Hobnail Island, there's 2 things. You fish in front on the mud flats and it's murky water. You fish behind it and it's clear water and it has grass. It's a mud flat, but it has grass. It has more grass on the back side of the island than it does on the front side of the island. Why it's like that, I don't know, but it does. And not only just Hobnail Island, but it's really two islands that are there together. It's Hobnail and it's Rattlesnake Island. I always keep forgetting. Look at the birds all flying right there. I always keep forgetting about Rattlesnake Island. Rattlesnake Island is right there too, next to it. It's right past it. Those two islands on the front and back side. Excellent fishing. Either side, it doesn't matter. You catch redfish there all the time. So this is Hobnail Island. See, it's just a mud flat. A little bit of grass here, a little bit of grass there. But those reds, they love this area too, man. Just like they do in the grass flats. They'll hang out here also. And that's a panorama of wide angle of Hobnail Island. And then behind it, that's the back area where I usually fish too in the clear water. All back in there. And then further off in the distance, it's Lagoon Atlas Coastal Wildlife Refuge. So we're going to cut it off here. One of these days, Cassie, me, and Rusty will see you guys out on the Lower Laguna Madre. You have a good day.